I asked this question before. I'm going to ask you this question. The last 2 seasons have ended pretty darkly. Was that your intention to torture your fans, or do you have a greater plan in mind? How will you make it so that we at least have some light of hope?
What if Bear were to appear in the premiere? Would that help at all? Would that salve some wounds?
Bear always helps.
Yeah, he actually wasn't around at the end of the episodes. I realized at the end of last year, and we were remiss.
We're talking about having a spin-off of Bear.
After you kill everyone else.
There you go. Yeah, don't let... If Denise's name is on the script, someone's going to die. Just know that. Be fearful. I think, this is definitely a season where, we've seen essentially Samaritan's Wheel. The machine has been compressed, it's in a briefcase, and now we're in a situation where Harold Finch confronted in the finale with the humanity of his own creations, realizing in that moment he was about to lose it, what that meant to him. And I think that's an important drive in terms of this season, what Harold's going to do to try to reconstitute the machine, but also, is it going to look any differently when it reemerges? Has it been damaged in it? If so, the conversations that he's going to have with Ruth in that regard, who has always been an acolyte of the machine, are going to play a huge part of this. Is he talking about me yet?
Yeah. That's the first thing he said.
So
Detective Fusco will remain oblivious till the end of the
Don't talk about the spinoff yet, all right?
So with the...
Go ahead.
We were talking earlier, one of the burning questions we had is there's those 3 servers of the 4, the 7 for Samaritan, that were those programmers that we have never seen nor heard mentioned since, which seems very suspicious because usually you guys don't wait that long for something to come back around.
Well,
so we were pondering that.
Come back. There was an episode, was it the season 3 finale? Season 4 finale? No, season 3. Season 3 finale, I think a couple of them came back around. I think Daizo, is that you referring to?
Well, but that was when the servers were put into Samaritan to protect them, but then we never saw them at all this season.
Oh no, not this season. I definitely think it's a possibility. Some of this is actor availability based. But, I do think it's important, that you imagine that there are other people perhaps in the world who we can use who are allies, whether they're remote or whether they're recessive. And they may just come back again.
Could I ask you about the difference between Samaritan and the machine as we're going to see it in the machine? Because one of the things that I've sort of highlighted before is that the machine has ethics, or it seems to have some kind of ethics. So is Samaritan kind of without ethics, or is it kind of darkness, like evil ethics?
Yeah, I don't
Evil ethics?
Is that a thing?
I mean, ethics that are, based around, code of villainy, like lawful evil, as we might say.
Well, I think Harold is taking care to always make sure that there was a human involved in the execution of whatever the machine generated. Samaritan was created as an open system. The machine was never an open system. It only generated a number. There was the relevant side that was given to the government, there was the irrelevance that the access through the back door. But I think what's really important to understand, and one of the fundamental debates going on right now with artificial intelligence, and when an artificial general intelligence emerges, how quickly will an artificial superintelligence ensue, and when that happens, is anyone taking care to make sure that it's friendly to humans? I think James Barat has an excellent book called Our Final Invention. References Steve Alejandro a number of times. He was actually on one of the DVDs, I believe the season 3 DVDs. We interviewed him, and he puts this very succinctly. He describes how it could go wrong. If you build an artificial intelligence, perhaps to be the best chess player in the world, you beat, Kasparov, can beat anybody, and it's like Watson. Only it realizes that its directive was to become the best chess player in the world, and it determines, well, I've already beat all the best chess players in the world, I need to get to another planet to find more chess players. Only human beings are kind of an obstacle to me getting to another planet because they're not the most efficient use of gases or nitrogen, whatever I need to get to another planet. So it's not necessarily that AI wants to kill you, it's that it doesn't necessarily care about you, or does it not regard you as necessarily the most moral entity on the planet. And I think that's sort of how you should look at Samaritan. Samaritan is an entity that has certain directives.
I'm gonna stop recording this shit. Go ahead.
Talking a long time.
No,
let's talk about Fusco.
He was way more President Fusco.
So Fusco's a good detective. How come he hasn't figured out what's going on yet?
Well, it seems like we were sort of beginning to figure some things out at the end
Yeah,
of
for the end
the
of the season, yeah.
What if he's been playing possum all the time?
Maybe he's not as oblivious as he suggested.
I'm really Elias.
Well, where do you see, if this is the end, where do you want Fusco to end up at the end of this?
Police commissioner in New York, goddammit. No, I think Fusco's going to really start asking some questions in season 5, and I think he's going to start conducting some investigations of his own to really looking into exactly what the hell's going on. He knows something's up, but he's really not quite sure what it is. If you recall, I believe it was episode 21 when we were in the hospital room. Was it 20 or 21? I think it was 21. We were in the hospital room, and Root was interrogating the man behind the curtain, and Mr. Finch has a conversation about the machine, and Fusco's standing there, and he's kind of like with that kind of dumb look on his face, like, what the hell is he talking about, you know? And I think it's going to start going more into that direction.
Yeah, I think it has to, because you know what Chappie's character was in the finale. He's arresting an officer of the 2 biggest criminal kingpins in the city, transporting them, you know, into federal custody. I mean, the car gets T-boned, and somewhere out of nowhere, a sniper takes out Dominic and Elias. There's going to be some questions, and I think you're going to find Detective Fusco on the hot seat. And when that happens, he's going to start to use his own skills to answer what the hell is going on in this city.
Yeah,
No good
cool.
deed goes unpunished.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I like that Fusco has actually been more part of the team this last season. Like before, it was more they would call him when they needed just like a errand run.
Right.
Now it's kind of like, you know what they're doing. What do you need me to do? Let's go do this. And I think that's been
Well, it's
really
kind of
cool.
unique because he is, but yet he isn't, you know. And that's really the thing. It's, you know, he sometimes will go, you know, with Mr. Reese to you know, a specific location to do something, but he's really not quite sure why he's doing it. But he's just kind of like, okay, Reese needs me, so here I am, I'm doing it. You know.
You haven't finished payroll yet?
What payroll? Finch has no money.
I'm like, that's the biggest jerk move.
Yeah.
You got a kid.
And it was
File a
sandwich.
W-2?
Yeah, exactly. Vince don't kick down nothing.
I actually think that the real affection people have for Fusco's character is, you know, we can disappear up our own navel all the time. I just did it a little while ago, and we can do that with Harold and Root. And I think in an odd way, people like that Fusco is so reliable and trustworthy. And you know, you say like, well, he's not questioning this. It's like, but we like him for that reason, because he's so reliable. He's such a good friend to our guys. You know?
Well, he's every man, and I think also what he does is he gives everything a sense of belief. You know, you have this billionaire, you're not really sure how much money he has or where he got it. You have this, you know, military trained individual. You're not really sure what type of military training he has, but you know he can kick the shit out of people. And, you know what I mean? Then you look at Fusco and you're kind of like, well, he looks like a New York cop, and he kind of gives the rest of it, I think, a sense of belief, where you know, he just kind of grounds the story, I think.
But also, like, the show throughout the whole series, like, it's always focused on these really high-level things, like, you know, the intelligence community, but then also the cops, like, police are super important to it.
Right.
And that's where your character comes in, and I wonder, what are we going to see in the next season? Are we going to still see that, you know, focusing on just the cops and, like, regular people, or is it all, are we mostly focused up here on, like,
Well, look, I mean, with a bit of a compressed schedule, we have a lot of story we want to tell. And there's not going to be a lot of filler this year. It's pretty much going to be a straight shot through. There's some things we wanted to tell a little bit later on, perhaps, that we're going to have to pull up. But I think it's going to be all for the better. We're going to tell a really heightened, exciting narrative this season.
So you've got enough runway, you think, to bring it around if that's what ends up happening?
I think we do, and you know, look, we write every season finale as if it could be a series finale. But I think the concept of the show is so strong. Never say never. The show can go on beyond this. I don't know. That's up to the network. That's up to other distribution outlets, perhaps. But we have to narratively tell that story now. So that's what we're up to. One thing I else I wanted to say about Fusco that I think is really important is, as a homicide detective, you see a lot of death. But I think he's had a long career of that. And all of a sudden you meet these guys that are telling you, hey, someone's about to be involved in something, there's still the opportunity to step out in front of it. And I think there's an element of hope to that warrants that friendship.
So many, I'm just sort of surprised, I guess it's not a question, I'm just surprised that they're saying they're shortening the season when you've had so many other TV shows basically try to copy Person of Interest.
we laugh about that all the time around the water cooler.
and they haven't made it, and you
Yeah, it's all POI light.
Yeah, no, it's...
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, you mentioned other distribution outlets, perhaps. What is...
Well, I mean, I'm just one. CBS obviously is our home. We're grateful for the pickup, and I believe they'll always control the option of the show. It's up to them whether we want to continue the show with CBS. We'd love to. Obviously, it's a vast distribution network. But this fall we're also appearing in syndication on WGN, and then we have a streaming option with Netflix as well. I'm actually kind of looking forward to a lot of people who might have missed our show the first time around watching it. Who knows? I'd prefer to even push our premiere date. Push it to a point where we can air them all at once.
Right.
No interruptions. Straight through. That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
If they want to do it in January, that'd be just fine with me.
I think we're going to pick up a whole different audience when a lot of people nowadays don't have television. They watch everything on their laptop.
Yeah.
So I think, there's a certain stigma that I think is placed on TV shows that are on network, and I can say this as an actor. It's been such a great joy to be a part of the show because the writing staff does a remarkable job. It's just constantly investigating and turning. I mean, we talked about it's 40 this year. We talked about the Snowden thing in season 2 and look what happened. We talked about the crashing of Wall Street and what happened last week. I mean, it's kind of scary,
Get out of my mind.
So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to be a part of something like that.
Yeah.
Thank you
guys
guys.
do an amazing job.